So this is a quick video on these Trac seat suspension kit for the Gravely ZT HD and Arians Icon. Can't really speak for the Arians, but I decided to make a video on this. I actually charged up my GoPro video or GoPro batteries just because the instructions on this thing are so bad. The reviews for this kit online, the quality and the ride have been, from what I understand, are supposed to be really good. Some of the reviews and comments about the instructions specifically were not good, especially on their own YouTube video, you know, which is up here on the screen. It's a lot more helpful than the instructions, but even the video has a lot of opportunities. So figured I'd make this a quick video, so we'll jump right into it. So first thing, really, when you're looking at these instructions, the best thing that you can do is just throw them away, because all they're going to do is confuse you. But all kidding aside, so what I wanted to start with the Trac. So I already mounted one of these Tracs, and you know, in the instructions it just tells you to mount them. In the video it tells you just to mount them, but there is a slot. If you could see this slot punch here. That's what these sit in, on both sides. This one's I already snugged down, and that's when I stopped and I said, man, I gotta make a video. So the tricky one about this thing is, and I apologize for the noise, it's raining in my shop right now, or outside. The tricky one about this side is that you have to move this lever so you can get that bolt in. Not a big deal, it just doesn't tell you about it, right? Because this one said it's locked in place. So you gotta get this one snugged down, and once you get that one snugged down, you gotta move this lever the other way so you can get that one snugged down. I found that an offset wrench works the best. If you don't have one, a regular wrench will do. Just gonna have to fight it a little bit. And it is 1/2 inch, so 1/2 inch on top, 1/2 inch on bottom. Okay, so once you get that down, you can just center it back again. And on these slots, you wanna go all the way out. So if I'm looking from the front, upside down, see how this moves left to right? Okay, you want it to be all the way out. This one is all the way out, and I'll show you why here. This is what's going to mount to the part on the machine, on the seat. So what they're looking at is, you're looking at these, from what I understand anyway, it's going to mount to this red piece. That was the debate online. What does it mount to? The black piece or the red piece? Gravely says you mount it to the red piece. So it's going to mount here. So you need to know this measurement before I start snugging bolts down, or else you're going to fight it trying to get the seat on after you get it all assembled. They really don't talk about that in the video at all, or in the instructions. So center to center looks to be about 11 5/16, 11 1/4. Call it that. Okay. So if I come back here and let's just say, for instance, you were to, if this was one all the way in and this one was all the way in, and you just decided, well, I'm just going to mount them all the way in, the center line on that would be much less than 10 3/4, because remember, this one's already mounted all the way out to the outside. But if you measure it out in both directions, the center line is 11 5/16 is where you need to be. So I say all that to say, when you're mounting these things, make sure they're out, then snug them down. All right, so again, so I'm gonna make sure that that's mounted to the outside. I'm assuming this loose is supposed to be like that. Boy, that seems awfully loose. Might have to check that. That doesn't seem right. All right, well, I'm going to snug these down, make sure that they're out. And this Trac is not like that one. This one is free sliding, so it's a little bit easier to manipulate. And remember, these are locking flange washers, so they are, if you do them with a regular ratchet, they will be a little tight, which is normal. See how I was about to snug that down? Remember, you want it to the outside. This is why I say that offset wrench helps a little bit. It almost looks like they forgot this nylon washer here, which is a little bit of a concern. But there's not one here either. And this one has some play too. Well, I hate to assume, but I'm gonna assume that that's normal. But boy, that sure doesn't seem right. I think I'm gonna put a socket on that and see how easily that turns. 3/4. 3/4. No. All right, gonna leave it. As to mount these, whatever they call them here. Let's
go ahead and install the stud bolts to the bottom of the sliding track, utilizing the 1-inch.
The stud bolts on the back of the sliding track. Okay. Just a regular old nut, huh? No lock washer.
A 1/4-inch Allen key and a 1/2 inch.
All right, let's do that. Except it's not a 1/4-inch Allen key. It's a 3/16 Allen key. Okay, and also I put some blue Loctite on there because these seem to be, or at least I think they were. Yes, they're just regular old nuts. So a lot of vibration going on with the lawnmower. I am not going to put on. Oh, no, that doesn't go on there first. This goes on like this. I'm not going to put on any nut and bolt on a lawnmower that's going to be rattling around without a lock washer or some sort of lock nut. I didn't see where the other one went. Does it go in that slot or does it go in the hole? Okay, so look, again, we're going to have to open this up, slide that forward. All right, can't remember. Let's see what he says about the rear ones here. So see how quick he's moving in the video? I mean, okay, yeah.
Now that we got our sliding.
All right, yeah, did you guys get that? Sure, no problem. So it looks like, I'm pretty sure he went on the back. Now, again, so with this being a slot, does it go to the front? Does it go to the back? Does it go in the middle? I guess we're just supposed to guess. So we're going to have to be at the mercy of the video and the instructions. Now I'm assuming that this goes here, so that must go like this. How the hell you screw that in? I guess we'll find out here in a minute. Well, before we go any further, let's see what happens here. So
That's installed. We can go ahead and install the adapter brackets. The adapter bracket has a threaded hole and a pass-through hole. Make sure the threaded hole is facing forward. We use a lock washer and a 1/2 inch bolt to attach the bracket. Right now we're only installing the front bolts of this. We'll install the back bolts once we put the seat on.
Okay, so let's see. Gonna tighten these down real quick and all right, so we got that one on there loose. Make sure you don't cross thread these. It's very easy to do. It should start fairly easy. Not the easiest thing in the world to start. Okay, as long as you grab a few. Okay, what's interesting is that short bolt, there's only 2 of them. That's the other thing about this, is they don't give you an exploited view parts. Like it would be very, very useful if they give you an exploited view of how all the hardware correlates to the assembly. So we have 4 of these left. I'm going to assume it's these, but let's see if the video shows us anything. So he's on the front section here still.
Now that we got the sliding tracks and the adapters mounted to the suspension, it's time to go ahead and mount it to the motor.
Oh, so they don't even talk to it. They don't even talk about it.
We're only installing the front bolts.
Oh.
This one.
Hold on.
Right now we're only installing the front bolts of this. We'll install the back bolts once we put the seat on.
Okay, I stand corrected. So we're only going to install the front ones. So let's do that. We'll just get it. Oh, it looks like it doesn't go in that slot. It looks like it lines up with the hole. See it? So it doesn't line up with this, it lines up with that. So again, sounds like we're not doing anything right now anyway, but I would get it as close as I could to that hole. Okay, so this is where it gets fuzzy. So after you mount the tracks, right, which is what we did. Okay, in the video, they show video step 4, take the seat off, right, or mount this base to the seat. And let me show you this real quick.
And the adapters mounted to the suspension. It's time to go ahead and mount it to the motor. Remove the seat and disconnect the seat safety switch. Remove the original seat sliding adjustment. Install the suspension, placing washers between the suspension and the mower. Secure the suspension to the mower with the included washers and nuts. Connect the extension.
All right, let's stop there. So as you can see, and I get that every mower is different. Every year is going to be different, right? But our Gravely 2023 seat looks vastly different than the one on the video, right? So, you know, for people that are struggling with the instructions, how do I get the seat off? Do I take this nut off, this nut off, this nut off, all these nuts off? Naturally, common sense plays a big part in all of this, but we'll walk through it. Naturally, let's disconnect the connector first. Just pull this tab out a little bit. You don't need to yank it out all the way, or you'll break it. And then just walk this thing out. Let's get that out of the way. And by common sense, I mean, look behind the seat, right? I mean, if I take this bolt out, there's a nut on the other side. That means I'm going to take the isolator off. I don't want to do that. I just want to take the seat off. So it's essentially just the nuts with the fender washers on them. So take out these 4 nuts, and from what it looks like to me, that seat should come right out. It does look like it looks like a little bigger than a 1/2 inch. Maybe it's looks like that might be 9/16. All right. All right, so you will have to disconnect that spring from that slot. And actually, if you just move the seat back when it's out of these isolators, you know, you could just move the seat and that'll move the room to play, and it will just come right out. All right, so we can get the seat off. All right. Seat's off. It does talk about removing that assembly. Let's see what that looks like here. All right, we may have to take well, we're obviously going to have to take this off. I have to take the red piece off to get the seat adjustment off, it looks like. Let's go take this over here and see what's going on. All right. All right, so in order for that to come out, should just be able to pull off this little All right, so I went back and looked at the video and I found it interesting. So here I am about to figure out where this mounts, right? And then I remember seeing in the comments from Trac seats or other users that you don't mount the Trac seats deal to the black base on the seat, you mount it to the red base. And these bolts are gonna fall off here, but that's all right. But what it looks like is that's the back of the seat. This is the back of the seat. So it mounts obviously like this. Okay, and here's that piece. Remember earlier I was telling you, where do you land that guy in that slot? Well, obviously, my guess was a little off. So that's the shit that's frustrating. All right, so before we do that, I got to adjust this forward, probably right in the middle. So let me do that real quick, and I'll fast forward to that so you guys don't have to watch me do it. All right, so I'm back. Allen key's fighting a little bit. All right, so this would sit on here like this. Oh shoot. Okay. Interesting. Almost like the nut's supposed to sit in there. It sits on nice on that end, not so much on this end. I'm gonna do this. And then that. And then that. All right, so it actually does say it in the video. It just shows them doing it on the mower at that point in time, actually. But you put a washer on the back side, washer on the top side, and then the nut. I sent those all home already. So this is attached, and I actually started trying to figure out how to get it on the seat, because just reverse process made me want to think it goes directly back on the seat, but it doesn't. It's going to have to go on the mower first, right? So it's going to sit something like that. You can see the first two. I wonder if it's easier to do the front or the... Yeah, this is gonna be a challenge. All right, let's see what happens. So we gotta pick up the whole assembly. Okay, this one came out. This actually may not be as bad as I thought it would be. So let's just get these on. Okay, you want to make sure that these are sitting. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but make sure that carriage bolt, the square, is sitting where it needs to be sitting. In other words, that should be flush, and it shouldn't spin. Okay, it's on now. Enough. Oh, wait, let's go. Okay, washer. No. Washer. No. All right, now. Okay. Gonna send those home, but remember, you couldn't see it a minute ago. You want this flush in here. And for anyone that's doing this, I probably don't need to say that, but I guess I'll say it anyway. All right, so I loosely have it bolted to the isolator. So if you can see that this flush, I'm just going to send this in a little bit and see if it. All right, that's what you want. To the other side. See flush. Bottom's down in the car. So let's move this. So you can see it again. Okay, now the door. Just hold out my finger on the other side, make sure it doesn't spin. Oops, come out, alright, back in. Ooh, that came way up. That's what you don't want. You don't want that. Alright. Okay. So that should be that part. Watch your hand. Slide this guy forward. All right, so I figured out why I couldn't mount the seat, because I'm a dumbass. So, and again, Trac seats, limited amount of instructions makes you make these simple errors and makes you start scratching your head. So I bolted these bolts from underneath here to this Trac through the hole, not the slot. It's got to go through the slot. And that's the reason for being able to adjust it with this slot. I'm thinking anyway, because you notice hole, slot, hole. Don't repeat that in church. And that measurement's about the same as these three. You're only going to use 4 bolts, but I'm thinking if these two don't line up, at least you can use this one. So let's take that bolt off and move it. All right, now that it's moved to the slots, and you'll see where I had it mounted prior, that's not where you want to put it. You want to put it here. So let's try to mount the seat again. All right, so let's not forget to put our extension on first, because that's where it's in the video. It says to do it now, so you can slide it through. All right, let's put a little dielectric grease on this. I like to wash my mower off every now and then, so just to protect this from the rust and corrosion. Throw a little grease in there, dielectric grease that is. All right, I'm assuming it's just a disconnect switch, so it probably doesn't matter which way these go. Now it says feed it through the top by the springs. I guess it ain't gonna hurt. All right, so I got the top bolts in, or the back bolts. Nothing gets bolted into the front one because that's in the way from the one that we just moved, right? So you're only gonna use the one with the slot and the hole. So remember, on the seat, we're using the middle one in the back. The front doesn't get used, but you probably can't see it, but I can't get this thing lined up because this bar is not positioned correctly. So you have to loosen this to move the bar. So we shouldn't have tightened this yet. So doesn't say that in the video, right? So we're gonna loosen this one so we can move the bar. Let's see. maybe. See if this works. There we go. See, it moved. And that's probably where we want it. All right, so that seems like it wants to take. I'm not gonna force it. I'm just gonna see what it feels like. Yes, that'll take. All right, so we gotta do the same thing on the other side. All right, guys, so all the bolts are in. Now again, the instructions or the video don't tell you, but common sense would tell you. They did tell you to use the lock washer on this one when you attach the bracket. So obviously use the other lock washers when you're attaching it to the seat. That is one bolt you don't want coming out or backing out or coming loose. Even blue Loctite on those bolts with the lock washers don't hurt anything. Okay, so the seat's on. The only thing we gotta do is connect our connector here. Looks like the factory had a little grease in it already. And again, this should not matter. The polarity. It's just a disconnect. That did sit. But you know, what you do want to make sure is you want to make sure it doesn't get pinched anywhere. So I think I can grab it from here. And just make sure it doesn't sit in anything. And then tuck it back under. So it's not in the way of your seat when you slide it. Not crazy about that, but okay. All right, so probably gonna have to move my arms here. Seat does look like it sits higher. Oh, wow. Okay. I gotta adjust my handle here. It's slipped loose. Oh, guys, that's that seems like that might be worth the pain.